This is the Critical Conversations podcast, a KPOV special project developed to feature unique perspectives and the courage it takes to go there, challenge mundane thought, and question the norm.
Jodie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with, if you don't mind, start current. What are you doing right now? What is your life right now?
Right now, I work retail. I've been at the same business for about 6 years, a little over. And I recently received my license through real estate, and just looking forward to start that as my future job.
Where do you live?
Over in Bend here, over by Mountain View High School.
Okay, and the home you're living in is
Yes.
a home that you purchased through Habitat for Humanity of Bend-Redmond.
Yes, correct.
And you have children.
I do. I have 3 kids, Tommy, Robert, and Kaylee.
And are any of them still living at home with you?
Robert and Kaylee are, Tommy is officially going to be moving out and starting his own, or to get his own place with his girlfriend.
So you moved to Bend in 1999, right,
Yes.
from California?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And so let's just talk about a little bit about just kind of your history, your story. And so you moved to Bend. And were you married then, or did you get married when you got here?
I got married later on after being here, and I had my 3 kids. But yeah, so I moved up here and raised my 3 children most of the time on my own. It was in 2011 is when I became a single mom and had been in an abusive relationship, and so had to kind of start all over from scratch. I stayed at a shelter. And eventually went on to get our first apartment, like after everything had happened. I thought I'd never have a chance to be able to purchase a house on my own. I thought that we would get stuck renting. So I kind of went on and researched Habitat for Humanity and some other programs.
Why was it that you thought you would never be able to own your own home?
Just because of only, my income level and being a single mom and not having the assistance. I didn't have any kind of child support coming in, so it was all done on my own. And yeah, so I thought that it would be too expensive for me to afford.
You were working full-time all this time?
Yes.
Okay. And so why was it important for you to be able to own a home?
Just to be able to have that stability for my kids and something I could pass down to them later on in life, that they would always have that home, that permanent home to come home to.
And were you finding the rental situation kind of unstable here in Bend?
It was. The prices kept going up. We downsized a couple times from where we were living just because of the prices of the rentals. And eventually we were, on our own in a smaller apartment. And with all the abuse that had happened, I ended up, I went to the shelter, and then we looked into that program for Habitat.
You said you did some research on Habitat.
Yeah. And
what drew you to wanting to look at purchasing a home through Habitat for Humanity?
Just, it's such a wonderful program that you do so many volunteer hours. You're helping other families get their first home. And then eventually after, your hard work pays off, and it helps for the closing cost. And we were able to get our first home. So it was a good learning experience too.
One of the things I think people believe about Habitat, I guess a couple of things are, one is that people who have jobs and work full time aren't qualified, right, to get homes through Habitat. And I think the other one is that the homes are basically given to people. So that's what I wanted to ask about, those 2 questions. So you were working full time.
Yes.
And I don't know where you were working. Probably not a great income in Bend, in these kinds of jobs that aren't professional, like you are about to start, right? So I guess that's my question. You were working full time but still couldn't afford a home.
Yes. We actually, I had a HUD for a while. It was the,
Housing and Urban Development.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that was our program we were using, and it was just too hard to do it any other way at the time.
And then so the other piece, and this is where we can start getting into the Habitat process, is it's actually you purchasing the home.
Yes.
Okay. How did that work? I know it said you started volunteering at Habitat.
Yes.
All right. And then how did it go from there? What was the next step?
I had talked to DeeDee. She would come down into the warehouse where we were doing the volunteer work, and I asked her how I could start the program and build a home for my kids. And she told me that you want to be employed at a place for, I believe it was about 2 years, and solid, just staying at that same place. And then eventually, you apply for the program, make sure your credit's good, and they help you along the way to get you into that right position to be purchasing.
And had you at that time been at your current workplace for 2 years?
I had. Actually, I think I was pushing more like 3 years,
okay.
But I just wanted to make sure everything was all set. And I had, brought my credit score up really high and started paying off my school loans. And yeah.
So that's great. So DeeDee is here with us. Hi,
Yes,
DeeDee.
hi.
And would you mind, what is your last name, DeeDee?
My last name is Johnson, and I'm the VP of Homeowner Services for Bend-Redmond Habitat for Humanity.
So DeeDee is here, and I'm just wondering, DeeDee, do you remember Jodie coming in?
I do. I think the staff out in the Restore fell in love with Jodie, and so a lot of times the staff will come over to me and they'll say, "We have someone we really want you to talk to. We really think she'd be a great fit for our program." And she started as a volunteer, so she didn't start in the program and apply. She actually was a volunteer in our Restore. And then when the staff kind of wrap around someone and they just think, yeah, this is someone that needs to be involved in our program. And then we were introduced, and then we go through this process of saying, okay, this is what it looks like. These are the guidelines. And we sit down and we talk about it. And, the rest is, it's a partnership for sure, but the rest is really up to the client. It's up to the person to really say, okay, I want to do this. This is for me. Because it's not easy. I mean, imagine you're a full-time mom to 3 children, and you're working full-time and you're volunteering. How the heck are you going to fit in another 150 sweat equity hours to, do this application process, get into the home? I tell people it pushes your growth edge. Are you ready for it? Because, this is going to be, it's a bit challenging to do, but I really believe that it's true change that happens when we have someone for at least a year in the program and we're able to kind of walk that journey with them, know their story, know where they need to have the extra pushes, know where they need the support, and in turn, too, it's a huge reward for me, but I get to learn alongside the families. Like what makes us better? How can we improve our program? But Jodie did all the work. So, I'm just the coach.
I loved it, though.
Pushing along. Yeah.
So you did a lot of volunteer work with Habitat, but I also want to back up because I know that it couldn't have been all that easy to get all your loans paid off.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it took a little while, to pay it all back, but it's something I had been working on for previously. I think at the time when I applied, I probably owed about $4,000 still, and I just basically would take my tax return and just pay it off, like everything that I could each year. And
then your credit score, you said you got that up by over 120 points.
I did.
And stuff, which is congratulations.
Yes.
Was your credit score brought down when you went through your abuse situation and divorce and all of those things?
When I went through all that, my score, it dropped down quite a bit. But what I did after paying down, and the credit, the companies can see as you're paying all this stuff down. So I would go through and see what I owed, if there was any other bills, start paying those off. I think I used Credit Karma to do it. Mm-hmm. And just basically went through all the program of that. And I had a moment again. I get so nervous. Yeah, I think at that point too, I applied for like Capital One card and got approved. And from there, I just would only spend a little bit, pay it off each month, and my score just started shooting up.
How much help and assistance and guidance did you have from Habitat through that whole process?
Oh, they were there every step of the way. They would give me ideas of different companies I should be using to, like, for instance, I think my car insurance was one of them. I found out that the company I was using was probably a little too high, and they recommended shopping around once a year, which I thought I didn't know that. And sure enough, I was able to get my my car insurance rates down quite a bit, about $40, I think.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
and then you applied that to your debts and to...
Yeah, everything to bring my income ratio back to the area that it needed to be at.
It's not an easy, not everyone can make those quick. She was super committed. Like, okay, she heard something and went with it. But a lot of times when people come to us under a lot of stress and especially in the circumstance that Jodie was coming out of, she's, I think, a little bit rare because when you're in that stress, your brain doesn't really process, right, very well sometimes. And so to really find that linear path of these are my goals, I'm committed to it, a lot of folks want to do that for their kids. They know they want that stability. But Jodie really stayed committed to it. It sometimes takes people longer to kind of get that, all right, I have to make some changes here. I have to change the way I'm spending because I'm spending under stress, right?
Yeah, the stressed brain is not all that good at long-term thinking.
No, it's hard.
Right? I mean, that's a big piece of, right.
There's a bunch of research around that for sure.
Yeah. So congratulations, kudos, because it really is. It really is incredible that you were able to do all of those things. So one other component of my understanding of the process with Habitat for Humanity is volunteering. DeeDee call it sweat equity for your own house, but also for others, right?
Yes.
So can you talk to that process and how was that for you? Well, I guess if you can just kind of talk about what you did, and then I would say how it felt. Right.
Oh, it felt good. So some of the homes, a lot of it would be. The days I would work, they were, doing some painting and caulking around, the windows. And so you go there and you help and, a little bit of nailing and hammering. But yeah, it's very rewarding just to know. And like all of it's going to, give that family that permanent stability, when they finally purchase their home and that they're going to be there. That's their forever home or just their safe zone to go to.
And you're not necessarily working just on your home.
Yeah, I know you're working on, you do, I think I did a couple days at my own house, but most of the time it's at other people's homes.
Because the families are in the program for a year, we're not maybe starting on their home yet.
Yes.
And so she still has a number of sweat equity hours, a number of hours at the Restore to do, a number of hours of education to do. So she had to plan that out each month. Okay, I got this for 12 months. How many hours each week do I have to do in addition to my work schedule to make this work? And so she started out, we start on other homes, and it's whatever level of building we're at. So sometimes it isn't the most glamorous work, but then there are times when you do get to put the hammer in your hand, and you do get to learn to use those tools. But a lot of times it's all parts to make that whole picture come together. And it's the camaraderie of the other people alongside. She gets to work on alongside our team, be that our staff or AmeriCorps members, real people with real lives in the Restore as well.
And it kind of reminds you how much people care, that there are those good people out there that do care about you. Yeah,
so I have this picture. You're all a community working together.
Yes.
Right, to build each other's homes for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did it relatively quickly, right?
I think
like everything else.
Months. Yeah.
She was our star student.
Right?
She was the star. She gets a star. So she definitely cruised. So she put her mind to something, and it was like life is not going to be the way it was.
Yeah.
Life is going to be different for me and my family. And Jodie,
I'm the only one that can make it happen.
That's
too,
right.
Yep. So I had to. I just researched everything I had to do and started the whole process, and eventually I got there, and it was actually a lot less time than I thought it would take.
Yeah, she was a little shorter than what people normally go through in our program. So, but she did it.
Yeah. All right, and so at some point, you learned that you were going to get a house.
Yes.
And can you describe that?
Oh, I was so excited. We were on our vacation actually at the coast. And we were at the aquarium, and actually DeeDee called me up, and I think you had me on speakerphone with a few other people, and just surprised me. And it was so nice. I was in the middle of the aquarium and trying to not be too dramatic because these people don't know who I'm talking to. But it was a very exciting moment to find out there, and my kids were around, and I could just let them know as soon as I got off the phone that we had got our house.
And what was their reaction?
Oh, they were so excited. Everybody just smiles. And almost in awe, like, that you don't believe it to a point. But yeah, it was all kind of starting to settle in.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the pinching yourself
Yes.
moment. Right?
Yeah.
And then when did you first see the home that was eventually going to be yours?
On the way home from the aquarium,
Okay.
because we were told which one it was going to be, and so on our way home, we stopped over there and kind of walked around and pictured where we'd put our furniture and whose room was going to be what, and yeah, it was really exciting.
And the house was still in sort of the frame, like pre-drywall, if you will, kind of phase.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But you could see where like they would have like the water and everything where it was going to be installed, and
So it gave you a chance to picture it, dream it.
yes, very much. I think we'd go over there every day and walk around inside. We couldn't wait to move in.
And so then another day eventually came where, and I don't know how this exactly worked. I know like when I bought a house, at some point somebody gave me a key.
Yeah.
And that was right. And that was the exciting moment. So what was that moment for you? And then how was that?
Oh my gosh, I was in shock. We did our home dedication. I believe it was January 31st, right at the very end of January, and yeah, it was so exciting though. We had a good turnout. People come around that were volunteers, and they all gather around and kind of welcome you into your home. And
It's a process that pre-COVID,
Yeah.
was much easier to do. And we like to honor the volunteers that worked on the home and celebrate the family. So we call it a home dedication.
Yeah.
And so it was a single home dedication, which is also very nice because the focus can be completely on Jodie, which is nerve-wracking for families because they talk. They tell their story a little bit. They say thank you to those who worked on the home. We do a home blessing. We really make it, a full experience. Maybe have a couple of folks that knew Jodie, introduce Jodie, anyone that wants to kind of talk and share. Even the kids are welcome to do that. But then, in the end, she actually gets to get handed the key and cut the ribbon on the door. And,
it's official.
It's official. It's official. Yeah.
And how did that moment feel? I mean, just the cutting the ribbon.
Oh, the best. Undescribable though. Like you just can't believe it. But it's so real at the same time, and that sense of security. I would say like that. Me and my kids were always going to have this home, and no matter what, there was always that home to come home to for them. Even when they're older, if they want to come home, they can.
Yeah. In her name. In her name. Just her name.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So the house, you're saying,
Yep.
is
Yes.
just in your name.
Yes.
How long have you been living in the house now?
A little over like about 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how has that, the process, the home, changed your life?
It's just made me realize that, anything you put your mind to, you can do. And it's that sense of security, something I didn't have for a long time. Like, you didn't know what would happen next, especially in the rentals. Like, you don't know if those owners are ever going to sell or anything. And to have that home that I knew that I was going to have forever, like, it really boosts you up, I would say. And I ended up having like a really good reassurance, and I decided to take real estate classes back in December through COCC, and in I believe it was May I passed my test, so I'm a licensed real estate agent now, and life just keeps going up.
Oh, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that and becoming a licensed real estate agent. However many years ago back when this started, or let's maybe go back to 2011, right, when you became a single mom.
Yeah.
Would you have ever thought then that you would be where you are now?
No. At that time, it was just, there was so much. I had went through the abuse, and you just kind of feel down and like you were going to be stuck there in that kind of life forever. And I didn't want that for my kids. I wasn't raised like that. My parents were together for a very long time in California, and, maybe like a middle class growing up. And so being on that opposite end where I was low income, and you just feel kind of stuck on your own, like that you wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, it was pretty rough time at that moment.
And how much credit would you give Habitat for Humanity for getting you from there to here?
Oh, like I give them almost all the credit. They boosted me up, to make me feel better and know that there is this program that I could have that opportunity in life for me and my kids.
And I'm guessing Jodie's going to give all the credit. I mean, I'm sorry, DeeDee. I'm guessing DeeDee's going to give all the credit to you, or a big chunk of it, right?
Yeah, they do the work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I get to push a little bit at times with families, but I can say there was a change in Jodie from when I first met her to who she is today. I can see that. The core of who Jodie is as a kind, loving, friendly, honest human being, hardworking, is 100% Jodie. But who she is and the way she carries herself is a very different person today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. She's a really wonderful example. Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes wish there were cameras in these interviews, because if everyone
Right.
could see you just glow.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's really powerful. I mean, there's clearly
It was life-changing.
Yeah.
Habitat for Humanity is. I'd recommend everybody to do it if they can.
So
they're
that's
qualified.
so you anticipated the next question I was going to
Yeah.
ask would be something like, what would you say to someone who's was in your situation, right, from 2011 or similar?
Yeah.
What would you say to those people right now?
That to just start, step by step, try to fix their credit, pay down any bills that they have that had maybe gone to collections. Just start the whole process and talk to Habitat. It was such a big help. You just don't believe that you can get out of that situation until you just kind of talk to people and start following the steps.
Yeah, we've definitely grown the program a little more since Jodie was in it too. The feedback that we take from everybody that goes through it is certainly helpful. But people that, just because if we're not in an open application cycle, we start working with anyone in the community as a client. Basically, they just give us permission. We do a soft credit pull. We say, here's what's here. It's a confidential process. It's a one-on-one engagement on mortgage readiness. We don't steer them necessarily to just our program. But if somebody says owning a home is for me, I'm going to give you all of the affordable housing options that I'm aware of. And but we're going to keep working on that process. We're going to check in every month. What I would say to people is not to self-deselect themselves just because they look at the income guidelines or they look at the website and say, I don't have that credit score yet. To keep going with that one step. There's just fill the form out. Let's sit down and look at it, and then you decide from there. Do you want to, let's coach through this. What do you want to do? How do you want this to look? Jodie just locked into it and was like, I'm going to do this. And you can, and for some people, some folks, it takes a year to get there, but we do a couple of cycles every year, so you can get there. I just hope for me is a really big thing, and I want, through Jodie's story, for people to know, it can take 8 months or it can take 12 months, and it can be, what you want it to be if you put in the time and the effort for it. But we're going to try to coach you through the process as best we can. So.
Just follow all the steps.
That's right, and don't self-eliminate.
Right,
I like
don't,
that.
yeah.
That's
I
really
think people do
latched
that.
onto
They
yeah.
self-deselect themselves because they think, I can't do this, that I'm not there yet. And that's not what it's about. We'll work with you to get you there.
Yes.
To what extent does your Habitat experience and then your experience of buying a home, is that part of why you wanted to become a real estate agent?
It is. Yeah. Just, how it felt to have your first home and just to have that opportunity to see their faces when they have their first home. And I thought it's just so beneficial. It's something I've always kind of been interested in, but yeah, Habitat really kind of pushed me along to that way where I knew that's where I really was going to go.
Is there anything else either one of you would like to add?
I know it's hard for folks. Like we're working really hard to go out into the community now, and we're starting to do some programming with the different populations of folks that are out there to sort of let them know, especially the underserved populations that don't think they can do it or can have that. And so that's a really important part of our growth process that is happening through our department right now. We have, some Spanish-speaking staff, and we're going to go to them. We're going to host some listening groups, and we want to hear what people say about what's hard about the process, or how come you didn't come to us, or how can we make it so that it's a little bit easier to get you there to home ownership. Those underserved populations that just definitely had a harder time with it and never were able to have homeownership in their history. So doing that on your own without somebody to give you a down payment is people don't know the programs that are out there. Like, this is great that Jodie's going into real estate because she has the empathy and she has the knowledge to know oh, you don't have a down payment? Oh, well, there's this thing called a match savings program through this agency. Or let's look at some other types of lending that we might be able to make this work. And she's got the community connections and resources now because she's been there. She's done that part of the process. But not everybody knows about that. And so it's really great to have people that have like pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and are now there to kind of help others along in that process. So there's so much more that we can do together, and so much more that we have to offer, I think, in terms of home ownership. Our community is like, if we don't have those workers, if we can't get home ownership into how long are you going to stand in line for your grocery store? How many months is it going to be before you get to that doctor's appointment? And who are the people that are serving you? And you just have to open your eyes and look around and say, wow, this is a loss. We're going to lose the vibrancy of our community if we don't wrap around this and make it happen. It's not easy. We subsidize a lot on every single home that we build, and the funding stack to make it work is like Jodie can qualify for X amount of a loan when she came into a program. Well, that's not even
it doesn't cover.
It's not a tenth of the home's value and what it costs for us to build that. And so what it takes to make it happen takes us all. What she can qualify for is a very big, important part of that process. And so she put everything she had, all of her funding and all of her finances into buying that home, just like any one of us would do. But I don't have to tell the community how hard it is to buy a home in Bend right now in Central Oregon. No,
that's right, and I'm really glad that you brought up the piece about supplementing, if that's the right word. Yeah. The people, my understanding is, apply for what they can afford.
Yep.
And what they were able to and is there assistance for down payment as well?
There is. So we try to partner with Neighbor Impact and Housing Works. Okay. So those are the two community agencies that offer match savings programs through the state. And so it's usually a 3-to-1 match, and so they save up for their closing costs. So that piece is taken care of. The families contribute a certain amount of funding themselves, and then they have 33% of their gross income, or the household income, is what becomes their mortgage payment. So that includes their property taxes, their homeowners insurance, and all of that. However, we do have partners in the state, we do have partners in the city, those funding sources for affordable housing, but that still leaves Habitat with about $250,000 per home that we have to fundraise for. So, and the community has stepped up wonderfully, but it takes all of us to make that happen.
It takes a village.
Right? It really, really does. So, but yeah, there's the family's piece of it is pretty big too. I mean, it's important. Yeah. It's important. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. You can very, very clearly, right? Yeah. It doesn't work without that part of it. Yeah. And so, Jodie, are you still doing some volunteering with Habitat?
I was going to volunteer on my house that's getting built next door. There's another
lot
that's going to be moving in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll be volunteering over there.
Yep. That's so great. Another single mom will be moving into that home, and so Jodie can actually put a hammer in her hand again.
Yes.
All right, and maybe even be a mentor.
Yes.
To an extent, right?
Yes,
How does that feel?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. No, just to show people, or be able to tell people that it's like not out of reach. There's things that you can do to get to this point in life too. No matter how old you are, I'm almost 46 now, so.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah. You're never too old.
No, that's a great message, and you're young.
Well, thank you.
But you made a career change, in your late 40s, and so that's pretty impressive too.
That's true. Another really courageous choice. For sure, Jodie, and that you followed through with and got done. It's all amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else? We'll.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you for having us in.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn this off.
Okay.
You've been listening to a KPOV Critical Conversation. To hear more engaging interviews on important topics, please visit kpov.org/criticalconversations.